Hello, this is Mark Walton, and you are listening to the Fulham Focus podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Fulham Focus podcast. My name's Matt Boisclair, and we're all a bit giddy this evening as Fulham deservedly inflicted Liverpool's sixth home defeat in a row, as Mario Lemina's strike right before half-time was backed up by a magnificent defensive display to drag us up to be on level points with Brighton and 1 point behind Newcastle in the fight for survival. Matt Statto, and Will Oakley join me to go back over the game if I can keep them from looking up replica grey cashmere Scott Parker jackets on the internet for long enough. So let's go.
Fulham.
Well, lads, firstly and perhaps most importantly, anyone know where Scotty got his new jacket from? I could see myself wearing that.
I thought it was a great jacket. Bold, but, you know, what works, works.
Brilliant. Just needed the black and white Fulham scarf to go with it. Then he would have looked proper, I reckon. What do you reckon, Stato? Would you wear that?
Yeah, I was a bit of a fan of it. I mean, I saw it at first and I wasn't sure, but, you know, he's probably up there with one of the most fashionable managers in the league at the moment. And, you know, if you've got it, you've got it. And, you know, it was a great look. And, you know, I think, was it Baldo? He found it on the Team Chat, and I think it was, £1,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
so, you know.
$1,800.
Should we start a whip around? You know, we can share it on different days. You know, I'll have it Monday, Tuesdays.
Yeah.
You can have it Wednesday, Thursdays, and
yeah, sounds good. Sounds good to me. I mean, let's be honest. If we're winning games like that week in, week out, he can stand there in a full-on rubber gimp suit for all I care. A magnificent result today. Magnificent.
I've got one of those in my cupboard if needed.
Good grief! All right, well, let's quickly move on before we start talking about all of the inflatables in my loft again. We went for a standard 4-4-2 from the start at Anfield. Kenny Tete was back in at right back, Ola Aina at left back, Bobby Reid was on the right side of midfield, and then Cavallero and Josh Maja both led the line. And we started as we meant to go on, really, with a great chance inside 3 minutes. Tete picked out Josh Maja, but Maja couldn't get his volley on target. He didn't quite connect with it. And then a good chance fell to Ademola Lookman, which he put wide. Again, it was a good start to the game from Fulham, wasn't it, Stato?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this was probably the first game in a while where I was more interested in looking at what the opposition would line up as compared to what we'd line up as, because we've got to the point now where we kind of know how we'll play, you know, whether it will be Aina or Tete at right back, whether it will be Cavallero or Bobby Reid. It's more or less the same system. This is 4-4-2, and, you know, it's solid, it works, but it was more about how Liverpool would line up today, given all their injury problems. And, you know, as soon as I saw that team, and particularly that defence, you know, I thought we could be in with a sniff here, because that's a very weak team. It was almost reminiscent of that Man United win back in, I want to say, 2009, when we won 3-0, and they had a makeshift defence, and that is very much what Liverpool had. And, yeah, I just thought something could be on here. And we started really well, really positive. You know, what I love about this Scott Parker team is, you know, no matter who we play, we stick to our guns. We start playing the same way. We play our game. We like passing it around, and it's just really positive and great to see.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the 4-4-2 is a great formation, to be honest. I was quite surprised to see Loftus-Cheek drop, to be fair, because I feel like he's only getting better. But, you know, you can't play every game, and the players replacing him did a good enough job today by a mile. I mean, when you see Lookman, Bobby Reid and Cav, I guess you don't really know which one of them is going to be playing up front and which two on the wing. But it was Cav today, and I thought he was pretty good there. Besides Spurs, one of his best performances up front for us. I still do think he's better on the wing, but, you know, he was good today. And he kind of plays around Maja. You know, Maja's more static. I think more static than we thought he was going to be when he came in. But he does seem to create chances, and Maja came close to a couple of goals today, to be fair.
What I love about Scott Parker and, you know, this team is that it's a 4-4-2, but it's not a rigid 4-4-2, because we have these players who are so versatile and can play in multiple positions. It kind of evolves and changes depending on the type of game and the type of situation we're in. So we had Bobby Reid at right mid, but, you know, he was there. He could slot in at right wing back if needed. If we need to revert to a back five, Lookman can come up top. He can go out on the wing. When we play players like Loftus-Cheek, sometimes he can drop back into the 10. Sometimes he can go out wide. And I think that's a great testament to Scott Parker and his setup that, we have this kind of fluid, dynamic team that isn't just set on one formation.
It's not just the formations as well, actually. It's also the players, because as you say, some weeks Loftus-Cheek gets left out, some weeks Bobby Reid, some weeks Lamina and Anguissa interchange, Robinson and Aina, Mitrovic, etc., etc. But all the players are grafters, aren't they? They come in and we still have that same level of intensity about our performances now. We didn't earlier in the season, but we've evolved into this team, and the team's found its rhythm. And as I say, it's not just the team that's on the pitch, the players that are on the bench as well. We bring them in, and everybody's kind of really mucking in, and we've got a really good squad now, and it's really started to pick up results as well.
Yeah, 100%. I saw something on Twitter after the game, and it said today and throughout these last few months, they've really squashed the myth that lone players don't care. Like, if you look, a lot of our squad are lone players, but they are putting their hearts like all out on the pitch, and it shows that they care about this club. And Parker's got them motivated, knowing that they might be going back to bigger clubs in the summer, but they're all working their best for this club and trying to keep us up. And I think it's great, the mentality of them and the strength of the squad, really.
It's a great team spirit, and that's what Scott Parker said at the end of the game in his interview as well. The team spirit is just really, really strong at the moment. Everybody's working for each other, and it doesn't matter whether you're contracted to Fulham or whether you're contracted to RB Leipzig or Lyon or whoever else. You're currently playing for Fulham. You're in this moment. You're in this squad, and you're part of this squad. You're part of something. And they're really, really doing well at the moment. And I never thought that we'd get a result at Liverpool. Even when we were doing podcasts a few weeks ago and saying, well, Burnley have just won at Liverpool. Could you see us doing that? And Brighton have just won at Liverpool. Could you see us doing that? And at that time, I really couldn't. But they're continuing to surprise us, this team, and continuing to pull these results out of the bag. And it's just amazing. And 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were 10 points adrift, and now we're level on points with Brighton. All right, Brighton have got a game in hand. And we're one behind Newcastle, because Newcastle got that draw at West Brom today, but we're coming for them for sure. Just before half an hour in today's game, Ivan Cavallero blasted over, went through on goal. It's frustrating that he still hasn't got any composure in front of goal. But as you said, Will, he's not an awful centre forward anymore. He's getting in good positions. He just can't finish. But for me, Statto, I think today, as centre forward, that was probably his best game for us.
Yeah, I probably agree. At the beginning of the game, I was a bit cautious of the fact that he was playing up top, given his record in the past. But the runs he was making today, he was taking players on. His first touch was incredible. He didn't have any clear-cut chances today, so we can't be angry that he missed anything, because everything he did was genuinely quite good. And again, testament to Parker for getting players like Cavallero, getting his confidence up, getting him playing well. I mean, at this point last year, football was kind of just getting suspended, and we were doing okay in the Championship, not great. But Cavallero, he wasn't kind of this key player for us. He was kind of this winger who was doing well, he was doing okay. And who would have thought that this time, fast forward 1 year, here he is playing quite a key role in our attempted survival in a centre forward role. So fair play to him. He's doing well, and let's hope he can keep it up.
Well, after that miss from Cavallero, it was Lookman's turn to miss when he was through on goal. It was a fantastic long ball from Bobby Reid, proving that we really have evolved. We don't have to tap and pass teams to death to get in behind goal. That was just a really instinctive through ball. Lookman ran onto it. He cut back onto his right foot, just took a little bit too long, and his shot was blocked and it went over the crossbar. And at this stage, Will, I was thinking to myself, it's probably going to be the same old story this afternoon of missed opportunities that were going to cost us the game.
Yeah, and this is the game that you don't want it to be. We want to beat a Spurs, we want to beat a Liverpool. You want to get that one win that you're not expected to get, because those are the wins you need to get when you're not always getting 3 points against the teams in and around you. And, that surprises people. When Fulham go and beat Liverpool, no matter what run they're on, it surprises people. And today, the chances weren't as clear-cut as they have been before. But, there was still quite a few decent opportunities and quite a few decent shots. And we definitely could have been two up going into half-time. I thought Lookman could have probably done better there with that cutback. And we've spoken about his decision-making before, and sometimes takes a bit too long, or sometimes should pass, sometimes should shoot. I think we saw that later in the game as well when Lookman and Aina sort of went for the same ball and tripped over each other. But it worked out in the end. But yeah, I think Lookman does need to kind of be a bit quicker with what he does and make better passing choices and things.
We're sticking with positive vibes in this pod, obviously, but the only critical thing I can say about Fulham today is that the finishing, it's still something that is a bit suspect at times, and we're not clinical enough, when we get chances like this. And I'm sure it will come with time. As the season's progressed, we're getting better and better. And I'm sure more chances will come and we'll finish these chances. But it did look like that. We were just being quite wasteful with the chances we were getting, and we need to start finishing more of these chances as they come, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the season, we were panicking about how ropey our defence looked. We've sorted that out. And now we're picking up a lot of draws and the odd win here and there. And, we're not a top 6 team or anything like that, although I think in current form we are third in the form table. That being said, we've obviously got weaknesses to our game, because that's why we're, still third from bottom. But we're growing, and hopefully we can start burying more chances. And it would be nice, for the games that we win, it would be nice not to have to rely on 1-0s, wouldn't it? It would be lovely to go in 4-0 up at half-time and just have the stress completely taken out of it. But the chances are that's not going to happen. And these next 10 games that we've got to go, they're going to be stressful games. And that's what happens when you're down the bottom, unfortunately. So it's certainly there's a lot of football to be played yet, and there's lots of key moments in the season that will define us, and hopefully we'll get there. I really hope we do. Let's come on to the goal then. Right before half-time, we got what we deserved when Mario Lemina robbed Mohamed Salah on the edge of the box and finished superbly for what turned out to be the only goal of the game. It was quick thinking from Lemina and a really instinctive finish too. He took a touch and then shot across Alisson into the bottom corner. It was his first goal for the club, and it was the perfect time to score too, Will.
Yeah, exactly. And we were saying before, I think it was Danny was saying about we need the midfielders to chip in more, because it really is only about 3 or 4 players that seem to score. But Lemina got his first goal for the club and robbed it off Salah, which is great, because Salah is just a diving cheat, to be honest. So, that really rubbed salt into the wounds a little bit. And he was, their only player in the front 3. I mean, out of Mane, Salah and Firmino, who was playing. And he had a really, really bad game. So, that's great, really. And yeah, Lemina's goal was a great finish, great instinct, like you say. And the finish was, out of Alisson's reach. I don't think any keeper would have got there, really.
Yeah, it's perfectly tucked into the bottom corner, wasn't it? And you're right. I don't think Mo Salah had any idea that Lemina was where he was, right behind him. Lemina's just thought really quickly, taken it off of him and finished really, really well. Then, of course, it was half-time. Statto, what were your thoughts at half-time?
So before the goal, I was thinking, well, are we going to regret not kind of taking these chances? Are they going to come back to bite us? And then I was also thinking, how can we change this up? Because we are on top here. How do we capitalise? Do we bring someone like Mitrovic on to kind of hold it up a bit more? Loftus-Cheek. But then we obviously did score, and then things kind of, perspectives kind of changed a bit. And, it got me thinking, can we just keep things as it is? We need to keep things contained. We need to be, ensure that we don't concede an equaliser within the first 10 minutes, because, we're 1-0 up at half-time at Anfield. Are they going to bring on the cavalry? Are they going to bring on Mane? Are they going to bring on Alexander-Arnold? And it's really just kind of, we just need to keep it tight for that first 15 minutes and just, see how it gets on. And, that's exactly what we did.
Well, right after half-time, there was something of a Liverpool onslaught, I suppose. Diego Jota brought a great save out of Alphonse Areola with a spectacular volley, but it was a spectacular save to match. And then Areola got up to deal with the ball, when it was on its way down as well. So it was superb goalkeeping once again from a man who's been such an important player for us this season. I remember Baldo saying after a few games this season that he thought Alphonse Areola was becoming our player of the season. And I questioned at the time how many points his saves had actually earned us at that point. Now I've lost count of how many points he's earned. What a man.
Yes, what a man. I mean, it's unbelievable. I think he's one of the best keepers in the league, and the best we've had the best I've ever seen, really, for me. Yeah, he's great. Like I said, I know we've said this a lot of times. I do feel sorry for Rodak, but Areola is just a different level. You can tell his experience at PSG and Real Madrid really shines through. And I watched an interview and I was quite surprised. Apparently, Areola's quite quiet. He's not that loud, but I feel like just his presence there kind of controls the box. It gives other players confidence, even if you're not a loud keeper, but you're there and you're good. That gives your defenders confidence to, pass it back to you. And we used him quite a lot today on the ball. I noticed in recent games we hadn't been passing back to him as much as we had been, but today there was a few back passes to him, and he gets out quick, and his kicks are pretty accurate. It's not wasteful possession. Yeah, he's a great keeper, and he really has saved us in a lot of games this season.
He's the only goalkeeper that we've had that I can remember who punches the ball, and I don't mind him punching it because he always seems to get a good fist on the ball. He doesn't flap. And there are a few times today when he's dealt with crosses and he's just absolutely walloped the ball out of the area and out of danger. Statto as Moncton FC's number one. What are your thoughts on Areola?
Well, it's been a long time since I played in goal due to lockdown and whatnot. But no, yeah, I agree. His decision making is top class. Whether to come and punch or catch, that's kind of a big deal with a goalkeeper because you need to be confident in your decision making. So you can see that when he goes to punch it, he means to do that. He's not kind of caught in two minds with that, which is kind of what you get a lot of the time when you get people flapping it because they try to do a bit of both. I agree that, whoever gets player of the season for us, it will come from the defence, whether it be Areola, whether it be Anderson, Towson, Aina, any of them really. But yeah, really, that save today kind of summed up why Areola is such a big player for us. I think, that's kind of the only save I can really remember him making in this game. Our defence was that solid that, there wasn't kind of any big chances that Liverpool had that could have cost us. And again, that just shows how far we've come in such a short space of time.
I really felt like Aina had a fantastic game today as well. I thought he was going past players, he's defending really well. Will, give me your thoughts on Aina.
Yeah, I didn't realise how rapid he was, to be honest. I mean, there was multiple times where he overlapped Lookman and got quite far out the pitch, and he's straight back. He's really quick, and his defensive work is good. His attacking work is good. I feel like his work rates are kind of his main trait. He doesn't mind defending. He doesn't mind attacking, and he's always there and where he needs to be. I think he's probably quite quiet, out of Anderson and Adarabioyo. They're the ones that do the big headers away, the big clearances. But Aina's pretty reliable. He hasn't really done too much wrong since, his first two games were a bit like, maybe he shouldn't probably be playing. But since then, he's played right centre-back, he's played right-back, he's played left-back. He played CDM for a bit against QPR. He's so reliable. He can play in multiple positions along the back line. And that's a great thing for a club to have. A player who will put his heart on the line wherever he plays is great. And it's kind of similar to Bobby Reid, he'll play wherever. And there's a few players like that. And like you say, it's down to kind of motivation and confidence that Parker's given the players.
He's one of those players who, up until recently, I could have taken or left him, really. He does okay every week. He's probably a solid 6 or 7 out of 10 every week. But just recently, he's really come into his own, and I feel like at 11 million that is on the table that we can get him for. As a utility player, I think it's worth doing right now. I really would. I don't think you'll get anything better in that position. Who can play that variety of roles. What do you think, Statto?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Aina's the perfect example of kind of the recruitment we went for this summer, that we were looking for. We've got players that kind of fallen through the cracks at bigger clubs. So Aina was at Chelsea, he was at the academy, didn't work out for him. He went to Torino, and he's just that type of player that no one would expect to sign, but he has. Likewise for players like Tosin, Lookman, Lemina, all at their parent clubs, it hasn't worked out for them, and they kind of come to us, these bunch of footballing outcasts almost, and Parker's kind of got them playing. He's got them working as a team together, and I don't want to say giving them a second chance because they're all kind of relatively young players approaching their prime. But he's kind of given them that chance that other managers or other clubs wouldn't, and they're rewarding him for his loyalty. It's paying off big time for us.
Yeah, and just as you say that, With Lamina, I remember when we signed him, I was reading a lot of things about how he had a big attitude problem at Southampton. And I haven't seen any of that, to be honest. His work rates have been great, Lamina's. I mean, there's been a few times where he tried to be a bit too cocky and maybe he hasn't tracked back enough. But today, and also when he had that handball, which was obviously ridiculous, he's arguing with the ref. He wants this club to do well. And again, he's another player who I still think Anguissa is probably better than Lamina, but he's played a crucial part this season. And I don't see why he can't next season if we stay up. So he's another player who I think, we should sign him on a permanent as well.
Just really quickly, because we need to come back onto this game, but say we did stay up, and I'm thinking about financial fair play and what our squad would look like next season, because ideally you'd want to keep the core of this squad together and build upon it. But in order to keep the core of this squad together, you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money. Lookman, however much he's going to cost, Aina, Lamina, Loftus-Cheek, maybe, Areola, Anderson, all these players that are on loan that make up the real core of this squad. And that's really going to drain the finances just to make us stand still. So potentially, maybe, we'd have to offload some players to then be able to improve the squad even further. And the only players I can think of that would bring in sufficient funding to enable us to build once again would be the likes of Mitrovic and Anguissa. Or perhaps we just sign all these players and then bring in a load more loans. What do you think, Statto?
Yeah, definitely. So, I think I did a bit of work on this a couple of weeks back. I just sat down, looked at the loans, looked at kind of the reports, like saying how much they'd cost to be permanent. Some of these reports are accurate, some not so accurate. But anyway, we're looking at roughly like 90 million or so to sign all these players on permanence. And I would 100% do that. Obviously, I don't know how financial fair play works exactly. I don't know how much we'll be able to spend next year to make these into permanents or how it would all work. But I think given what they've offered so far, it's 100% worth making them into permanents and then kind of dealing with what we have left and going from there. And whether that's the case of kind of being in this endless cycle of just having loan to buys each year and kind of being 1 year ahead of everything, essentially, in terms of finances. So, having to pay them upfront next year or something. That might be the way forward. It's not kind of a sustainable way, I don't think. But again, I don't know enough about the finances to kind of comment on that. But if we have to spend 90 mil to keep the squad together, then I would do it 100%. In a heartbeat, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, with a bit of luck, hopefully we're going to be in a position to do that because we'll be staying up. But we'll cross that bridge at the end of the season when we come to it. Let's get back to the game then. Liverpool threatened quite a lot in the second half without really creating a great deal. I was worried about their ability to score rather than how dangerous they looked on the day, but we defended brilliantly. And we still had some great chances too, particularly when Cavallero broke after winning the ball in midfield, but couldn't get his shot on target. That chance in particular seemed like the perfect position for him too. He's on the left side of the penalty area. He cut back inside onto his right foot. And it was a goal that he scored a few times last season. What did you think, Will, that he might have been able to get a second goal there, or did Liverpool just crowd him out a bit?
Yeah, I thought we could have definitely had a second, but the thing is, Liverpool in the second half the pressure was unreal. I was not thinking about getting a second goal. I was thinking about not conceding, really. The pressure was a lot. I think we were definitely the better team in the first half, and I don't really know if you can say they were better in the second half, but they definitely created more chances than us. It was just cross after cross after cross. But I was speaking to my friend who's a Liverpool fan, and he says that's all they do. They don't have an answer. They just cross, and they brought on Trent, and what can Trent do? He can cross. And that's all they were doing the whole game. And Anderson and Adebayo were just dealing with it like absolute monsters.
With 25 minutes to go, Loftus-Cheek came on for Josh Maja. Shortly after, Mane, also a second-half substitute for Liverpool, hit the crossbar with a header, which ended up being as close as Liverpool had come all game. Areola didn't seem to realise it was as close as it was either, did he, Statto?
Yeah, definitely. It almost looked like his angles weren't completely covered. Like he saw it, he thought it was just going wide, and it just kind of grazed the crossbar, and then he kind of jumped into action to try and get the rebound. But yeah, that was kind of the only scare we really had. I've already mentioned that Liverpool didn't have any chances. But, that's not to say that, the whole of the second half was basically in our half. That's all it was. It was just kind of a game of attack versus defence. But, given the attacks that they offered, like we all said, it was all just crosses. It was just very comfortable for us, really. Like it didn't look too stressful at all for them at all. Like it's something that they could deal with quite easily.
Well, Anthony Robinson came on for Ademola Lookman in the last 10 minutes. Then shortly afterwards, Mitro came on for Cavallero as we looked to tighten things up at the back and maybe just put a bit more muscle into our defence with Mitrovic. But Mitro even got a chance on the counter towards the end. He ended up having a shot that was hit straight at Alisson. It was great to see him involved, though. I love Mitro. I think he's got a massive part to play in our last 10 games. What do you reckon, Will? Do you think we'll see a bit more of him?
I love Mitrovic as well. I really want Madja and Mitrovic to work up front together. I don't know if it will. I don't know if Madja is probably a bit... I thought Madja would be running a lot more than he does, really. But if Madja can just keep moving, keep making those getting behind runs and maybe just dropping in a bit more to receive the ball, I don't see why Madja can't play with Mitro up top, because I love Mitrovic. Yeah, I think he's great. I think you don't score 26 goals in the Championship and not be good enough for the Prem, in my opinion. I think if you can do that, then you can at least start in a Prem team that's fighting for survival. I really don't see why he couldn't. And yeah, I think he's going to play a big part. I just hope he gets more minutes than just, 70th onwards. I hope he starts a few, comes on maybe in the 60th or even half time if we're losing. But I thought the subs today were really good. I think Mitrovic was there just to lump it up to if we needed to, and also defending set pieces. I think Loftus-Cheek for Madja helped because Loftus-Cheek does drop deeper. He gets on the ball. His passing's good. And Robinson, to change to the 5-back, Robinson's quick. I mean, he is a bit shaky defensively. We saw that he mistimed a few headers, but he was there and he was always going out to stop the cross. He's full of energy, Robinson. Maybe all he can do is run, but at least he's there to run and try and stop stuff, I guess.
I really like what Scott Parker's done with this team. I really like how we've been playing in the last couple of weeks. But at the same time, I feel, Mitrovic has been a bit hard done by not getting more starts here. Parker's done a lot right this year, but, the handling of Mitrovic, maybe not so. We don't know what happens behind at the training ground and why he's not starting more games. But, we've had a lot of games where we've missed a lot of chances that, you can't help but think that if it was Mitrovic at the end of them, he would be scoring those. And, in these kind of fleeting 10-minute, 15-minute cameo appearances he's making at the moment, there's nothing that I can see that, shows that he can't be starting these games and that he can play in these systems, because he's still working very hard. He's still doing his classic Mitro self. There's nothing to suggest that he isn't. So, I would like to see him start a few more games in the next, few games.
Let's come back onto our defence then. And in injury time, what a clearance from Joachim Andersen from that low cross, proving why he's a Premier League Player of the Month nomination, or rather a Player of the Month nominee for February. Give me your thoughts on what was a captain's performance, Will.
I mean, look no further. It was unbelievable. I think to give a captain's armband to a lone player is ballsy, really. That's what it is. But he's proven that he's captain material. And no offence to Kenny, but he isn't really a captain, is he? But yeah, Andersen has just been there all the time. And that clearance was unbelievable, I thought that was one of the best things he's done this season. Also, like I said earlier, just heading out the crosses, he was there all the time. And also his passing, I think, is incredibly underrated. I feel like sometimes we skip past that just because of how good of a defender he is. Like the long passes he plays are great as well. And him and Tosin have formed an unbelievable partnership. I know we're going to get on to man of the match in a bit, but I think you have to give a shout out to the whole back four today, and even Areola, back five. I think Tete was great. Dan agrees with me on this one, I know, but he's one of the best slide tacklers I've ever seen. He goes in for everything, and he got a yellow early on, and that was harsh because I think he got the ball there. And Aina, like you said earlier, was great, and Tosin and Andersen just held down the box, really.
Well, at the end of the game, 4 minutes of injury time turned into almost 6, but we held on for an absolutely massive result. At the end of the day, I suppose 3 points is 3 points, no matter whether you win them against, Liverpool at Anfield, or whether you win them against Brentford, or whether you win them against whoever, 3 points is 3 points. But Statto, sum up how you felt when the final whistle went today.
This is probably the first time since the Brentford game where I was just kind of on the edge of my seat begging for the whistle to go out. I mean, I don't know how we got to 6 minutes of added time. I can understand how subs take down the minutes, but the subs were made before the added time was brought on. I don't know. It was quite agony, and especially when they had that corner in the last minute as well. It's like, for fuck's sake, here we go. But once that whistle went, it was just kind of that pure elation joy that we've got a massive win. Like this kind of, we've had lots of kind of milestone moments in this season. That win against Leicester, it's like, right, we're actually here in the Premier League to compete, and then kind of getting other big results. The win against Everton a couple of weeks back, it's like, okay, maybe we're not doomed. And this kind of felt the next one saying like, right, here we are, we're here to compete. There's 10 games left. Let's fucking do this. So it was just great, really.
Even before that, though, but like Areola was taking ages over a goal kick, and it was 4 minutes of injury time was already up, and he just took it, and the commentator even said, I think Areola's hoping that his kick's going to be the last one of the game. He's lumped it up the pitch, and there was I think a couple of players contested the header, and the referee blew, and I jumped up off the sofa and started punching the air. Yeah, and then, hang on a minute, he's given a free kick, and then they went and got that bloody corner that Alisson went out for. I was like, oh Jesus, here we go.
I don't understand how this happened. Surely that area, I think everyone thought that Areola goal kick, that was it, and he was just doing classic game management. It's what any other goalkeeper would do, and just he takes his time. And but oh god, it's a nightmare. But we got over the line and we got the 3 points. So
I'll tell you what. It's classic Fulham as well, because if you think last week against Spurs did everything to time wasted in added time, and referee blew the whistle as soon as he could, just after the 94th minute. As soon as it's us that need the whistle to be blown, it goes 2 minutes over what the ref said. So, but got the win anyway.
And we've got 4 clean sheets in 6 games, as they said on Sky Sports this afternoon, with only Man City conceding fewer goals than us since December. Staying up, it does really feel on right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're the team with the motivation. Newcastle and Brighton are the ones that are above and slipping. We're the ones that are below and going. We're going for it now. I still see Newcastle as more likely to get relegated than Brighton, even though we are closer to Brighton. But I watched Newcastle against West Brom today. They were so bad. West Brom looked like more likely to win it, I thought. And yeah, there's no reason why we can't take over Newcastle, even Brighton. What if we finish 2 places above? That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think, for me, at the start of last week, I saw that we were playing Spurs, we were playing Liverpool, we were playing City. And I was like, right, we're probably going to lose all 3 of those, and I'm okay with that because they're 3 really top 6 teams, games that we were expected to lose. For me, the key thing was to make sure that teams like Newcastle and Brighton, they don't pick up that many points in those 3 games, and they don't go ahead of us by too much. I was accepting of the fact that they might get 1 or 2 points, but I didn't want them to get, I didn't want the gap to look huge. But in fact, now we've actually cut that deficit by 2 points, and we're now on level points with Brighton. So that's a kind of a remarkable achievement, and it's quite an amazing thing to have done. So yeah, it's a great position we've got ourselves in.
Well, it's all to play for, mate, isn't it? So let's come on to man of the match. Who are you giving it to, Will, for this one?
Yeah, like I said, big shout out to the defence, but I'm going to give it to Lamina, the goal scorer. I thought not only did he score his first goal, I think he was really passionate today about getting the win. I also thought he made a good pass to Lookman at one point where there could have been a goal scoring chance. And yeah, I thought he was very good today. He tracked back, good defending, and yeah, a brave player and a great performance, bouncing back from that handball call.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd personally give it to Anderson. I just think, as you said earlier in the show, all those crosses that were pinged into the box, and just dealt with them all. He dealt with them all with aplomb. He was absolutely outstanding once again. So Anderson for me. How about you, Statto?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Anderson. If not for that last minute clearance at the end, he was just fantastic today. He he led our defence. He kept us solid. And going back to the conversation earlier about our loan signings, if we could sign them all, if we kind of had to pick in what order we had to sign them, maybe we'd rank them. I think for me, Anderson would be that key player to sign first and make sure we get on a permanent, because he is just one of the best defenders I've seen in a Fulham shirt in a long, long time.
And how about Scott Parker rating for this week then? It's going to be a 10 for me. I couldn't give him anything less than a 10 for going to Anfield and getting 3 points.
Yeah, 10 for me. The coat and the result, there's a 10.
The rubber gimp suit and all.
Agree.
Yeah, 10s all round.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, we just beat the reigning champions at Anfield. How can you not give anything less than a 10?
Yeah, and his substitutions and game management towards the end, it was classic Parker, wasn't it? As you said, Will, switching to a 5 at the back to see the game out, which we did quite a lot in the Championship last season. And maybe for some of those games in the Championship last season, it was frustrating because we were playing against teams who we were superior to. But at Liverpool, it's completely fair enough, and we got the job done. So fair play to Scott Parker. He's really turned this round, and I'm delighted for him. All right, well, that's your lot for this time. When we got promoted, never did I think we'd be doing a podcast discussing the win at Anfield this season, and I've absolutely loved it tonight. J-Mag's back on Thursday with your Man City preview. What price is getting something against them too, eh? Will and Statto, thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening, folks, and speak soon. Cheers.
Fulham.